Mm.
All right, welcome everyone to the second interview in the webcast series for the Thousand Goddesses Gathering. This is the second out of 3 interviews. This is a very mini series, helping actually to raise funds for the Thousand Goddesses Gathering and also to help us be better introduced to the priestesses, some of the priestesses that will be at the gathering leading ceremony. And tonight we have Celestine Star, who I'm falling in love with, along with Christy Michaels, who was with us last week. And Celestine, you know what? I don't have your full bio in front of me. And I know you're going to talk briefly about it in a moment, but I know that you are a Isis priestess. You have a number of titles. So I invite you to just go ahead and tell us who you are and what your titles are and more about your background.
Beautiful. Thank you. The first thing I'd like to do is just thank you, Mare, for having me on this special teaching webcast. And I want to thank everybody for coming. I am a woman who is inspired. I'm inspired by those who I love, and I'm inspired by the beauty of the divine presence that kind of guides me in my inspiration. So I can tell you that I have a doctorate's degree in comparative religion. So we could start there. And I have a holistic therapeutic practice. But tonight I'm offering myself as the priestess of the Temple of Light. You can see in the background a little bit some of my temple here in Marin, California, near San Francisco. And I also have been ordained on the same day as Christy Michaels, 10-10-10, into the Temple of Isis, the Temple and Fellowship of Isis. Although I've carried the priestess energy since I was quite young. I was trained by my mother's. She was an Arch Priestess in her own cult, her own circle, with her husband, and I was trained in the metaphysical way. So I say to you that I am the ceremonial priestess and the wisdom keeper, keeping the great mysteries, the keys, Kemetic mysteries, the goddess mysteries. You could call me a polymath because I do venture into many different areas in the world. I have a media company. We do live streaming, such as what you're doing tonight. I've had medium company since the early 90s. And so spiritual leader, counsel, guide, oracle, businesswoman, author. I'm just publishing a book this year, another book, and a grandmother. So that would be what I would say about my bio. I'm here to
busy person.
assist in the elevation of consciousness on the planet. So that's really, what I'm here to do. Mm-hmm.
I also want to share briefly that I was searching high and low for an Isis priestess, Isis Asat priestess, and calling and contacting people and kind of reaching dead ends. And then out of the blue, Celestine just calls me on a Friday evening after you had been talking to Christy. And you're like, I want to be there. I want to do it. I'll be your Isis priestess. And I'm like, I'm really tired right now, but I said yes. I'm just going to say yes.
We'll just take a chance on that.
Well, I could tell. I mean, you're a good friend of Christy's, so I knew that you came from good qualifications there.
Thank you. Yeah, so trained at birth into metaphysics. Just to go a little deeper, I have Native American, which I'm so honoring. I have the feather here that's been tipped in the sun. So I carry with me the prayers for the last 40 years. This feather has been with me in ceremony. And I have Egyptian background. So I am Nubilite, Nubian-Egyptian. That is from the deltas of Egypt. That looks like, when you put your fingers out and you see the deltas, the streamways that come together at Demenhor or Behedet, it was originally called, and then Cairo would be just a little bit down from the delta. So this is my mother's heritage, and our whole house was filled with Egyptian artifacts and the ways of Egypt. She dressed me as an Egyptian child, which I didn't really get because we were in England when I was raised. And until I went to Egypt and really saw what was going on there, I didn't really understand the depths of what she gave me, but I'm so grateful. And she gave me the mysticism, hermeticism, arcane symbolisms, all the esoteric sciences, astrology, astronomy. And, you know, on top of all of this wonderment and awe, experienced a near death and entered into what I call the Godhead. Guad is Egyptian for mother, father. So I entered into a state of merging. And so I'm here to walk the path, but I do enjoy dharmic theater and ceremonial rituals, and so I'm excited about that.
Let me ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You said hermeticism.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that, and I saw it in your bio and your description. What is that?
So one of the gods, the Netru is God in Kemetic Egyptian, is Thoth. They call him Thoth Trismegistus or Hermes Trismegistus. The Greeks, his last incarnation in physical form was known as Hermes. And so the writings of Hermes, and some of them are written and not quite authenticated, but there are others that they know they come from the long lineages of Egypt and their deep understanding of the workings of the cosmos. So you have alchemy that comes out of that, but in the Hermeticism, it takes you deep into the place of mind, of thought, you know, and understanding the 7 principles of how the universe works, and in understanding the 7 principles. And this would be, an example would be the principles of mind is energy follows thought. Things are in dualistic nature. That which is above is that which is below. So there's 7 principles in that way. And alchemy would be more in the sense of nature and the forces of nature that come into our lives, and the fire that burns us down. Our house may burn, our life may burn, we may just be, you know, everything taken away, and we sit in that's called calcination. But then we have to gather ourselves. And we have to gather, and so we have dissolution, and what are we going to take with us? What are we going to bring with us? So in the Hermetic teachings, and also it takes us into, you know, Western medicine is now used, you know, it's hermetically sealed, you know.
Oh,
so
interesting.
So it's really interesting that, you know, the Egyptian, the basis of a lot of Egyptian teachings can be found in the West now. Because it was carried by the Roman armies.
Right.
And such.
And I don't want us to get too far afield with that. I mean, obviously, you could be teaching a graduate level course on
just stop me. It just keeps going.
And our focus tonight is on Isis.
Yes.
So but I just need to ask that question. I'm like, what does that mean?
What is that? The mysticism of Thoth. So Isis came into my life. Shall we just dive in?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
As a young girl, again, the ceramics sculptures that were in my mother's home. But there was one particular saying my mother would always write, "To thine own self be true." And also there was another saying that is really powerful for this working here is, "I am all that has been, all that shall be, and no mortal men or no mortal has ever unveiled thee." So it takes you, this was written on the Temple of Zaist. It's a goddess temple. It's a temple of the priestesses that were the medical staff, these priestesses that learned, you know, they did surgery, they did medicine. So this is written on their temple, and I just was in awe of that. And so that's how she awakened me. Her name is, in the Egyptian terminology, the Kemetic terminology is Neteru Aset. Isis is a Greek terminology for her. And I first learned about her as the Queen of Heaven. So there's different layers to Isis. So we'll start in the heavens. And this is the esoteric teachings of her. She was seen as a part of the 8 primordial principles of creation. So you have the creation itself, and then you have what is called the Agdong pantheon, and that is the 8 principles. Shu, which is the air. So you start with the primordial essence of all things, and then from within that comes forth the vibrations and the frequencies that begin to form the different manifestations. And in the primordial ocean becomes the sound or the wind, Shu, and Tefnut is the waters, and then the earth, Geb, and Nuit would be the heavens and the stars. So the first ones that came forth with Isis was born out of Geb, the earth, and Nui, or Nut, the heavens. So the earth, the heavens touches the earth. So she was, so that was a beautiful thing to imagine, her radiance. And for Isis, she was the mother of the world. So that she's the archetype of the mother of the world. So you can find her in many, many different religions, in many, many forms. But she was worshipped, these primordial forms were worshipped about 7,500 years ago in the place of Hermopolis. And so she came through, and she was a part of a set. So Isis, Aset, and Nephthys, or Neftis, the outer and the inner female. And then Osiris and Set were the outer and the inner male consciousness. There were stories of Set killing his brother, but that takes you into more of the pagan rites. And there was later stories that were developed, but in the Nubilite, in the Nubian of Sudan or Ethiopia, in the very ancient early writings, Aset was known as the geometrical, the geometry, the mathematics. And Osir was the keeper of the underworld, of that which could not be seen.
So question,
Uh-huh.
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So you said 7,500 years ago.
Yes.
And that predates Egypt?
That is like the beginnings, because we're down by, I would say, the very beginning of Egypt. So we start with the Blue Nile at the Mountain of the Moon. It's a beautiful place, and that's where the waters run off, but they run up north. It's one of the only rivers. I think there's one more that runs northward. So at the top of Egypt would be the Hermopolis, Hermes, again, Thoth, worshiping Thoth.
Right.
Thoth brought through some very, very high information, and it's still pertinent for today. So yeah, 75, they have archaeological sites that are over 10,000 years old. They're the lineages of the Nubians, my lineage, my blood in the DNA, Ancestry.com will tell you they have a history of over 30,000 years.
Wow.
So Lucy was found in the Fertile Crescent in the area of Sudan, where the Nubilites came from. But the actual after-flood recognitions and the landings of these very high people from the star system Sirius is written through the kings of the ancients before it really became the Egyptian dynasties. Okay, so they were
Yeah.
Nubian. Uh-huh.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, they were Nubian. Mm-hmm.
Great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you want me to ask you another question here?
You can keep
Keep us
asking, or
back.
I can keep going. You want me to keep going?
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, so imagine that after the floods, Isis, the great mother, who's a genetic engineer, she was, she brought forth the birthing rites. And there was a temple dedicated, the Temple of Philae, which you can go to and you see their information about the birthing. And she was honored throughout time as the Great Mother. You see her, my favorite is her nursing the little Horus, suckling the Horus to her breast. And that energy, that statue now moves through Africa and up into Europe, goes into Crete and up into Europe, France. But as Isis and her emanations were recorded, you have her as theology, which is the stars in the heavens. She was known as the goddess Sopdet. She was the goddess of Sirius, because that's Sirius, the goddess, the star system Sirius rises on August 15th, comes before our sun on Earth in our solar system and brings the waters up. She's so powerful. This constellation is so powerful that it affects our world. And so she was written as the goddess of the waters. You see, the waters in the floods brings all the silt and the fertile soils of
and that's
Egypt.
a huge part of the Egyptian culture, is the flooding of the Niles and keeping the soils fertile there.
And so this is what's made them very, very special. And so you have the natives who survived the floods, and they were taught by these beings who relanded after the floods, relanded and started teaching the ways. And so you have the horned Isis, and that's the cattle people that went up in Africa out into the savannas and stuff. But they always merged nature with the religion.
This is so interesting, because what I'm hearing you say is that with the traditions there, the acceptance of there being extraterrestrials that are the ancestors to their culture is just widely accepted.
Not only was it accepted, but it was proven. Okay, so if you can imagine the culture of Egypt, it's written to have gone back 36, I think Thoth ruled for 36,000 years, 60,000 years ago.
Wow.
So you have this written in the culture. And as the temples closed and the Christians took over Egypt, and the last temple closed 600 AD, the priesthood moved down into Mali, and the Dogon tribe carries with them the actual solar system of Sirius, the 3 stars, the 2 stars, and the dark star. They carry the information about the movement of Venus. It's almost as if the scientists had to go back and do it in their telescopes to really say, yes, the Dogon tribe was given the keep of this information. Arabia, the Arabs were given the keep when it all dissolved, had the keep of the alchemy. So you see, alchemy. So they took with them the teachings of alchemy. Hermeticism went up to Greece because Egypt's had different ports in Crete Lebanon, Syria. I mean, they had a vastness.
Oh yeah, they were a very significant culture, dominated the Mediterranean at that for many, thousands of years.
All the way to India. So there's yoga comes from Egypt. And
really, I did not know that.
Yes.
And then it migrated to India.
Yes, they had colonies, and you see the brown skin African looking from India in Tamil, down in Tamil areas. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you a question here. I hope I'm not challenging you too much.
Please.
I feel as you're talking right now that you are really embodying Isis by your energy. And I'm curious, that, like, for instance, I feel Earth Mother strongly at times. Her energy comes in and there's like the ripple and there's this whole shift in my energy. Mm-hmm. And so I'm curious how your relationship with Isis, I know this is not one of your questions, but I think this will be really interesting for people, especially those who are going to make it to the Thousand Goddesses Gathering. When you invoke her, do you feel her come into your energy body, or do you feel like she's with you all the time within your energy body?
So to answer that question, thank you. I am Neftis. This is my last incarnation. I am the twin of Isis.
Oh, yes. Energy is very powerful in that.
Okay. And Neftis is the priestess. She was the one that placed the temples, coming in to place the temples along the Nile. So her energy is with me, integrated fully. And so Isis was the twin sister. We came through the stargates from Sirius to be on this planet interdimensionally and still continue. Isis still continues with me, and many of my students that I work with, she will work with them. To answer your question, I will invoke my sister to be present. We are talking about whether I should invoke her, evoke her inside me and to do the working, or to invoke her in the presence. So we will find that out when we get there. Is that a good?
Could I ask a question? Would I be able to ask a question?
We're not really doing questions. I don't know who this is.
They can put it in
Brother
the chat,
Tomasio.
and maybe we will have time for that.
Yeah, if you want to type it in there, if we have time, but otherwise we would be going off in some interesting directions. So, but please type it in. If we have time, we'll get to it. Thank you for understanding.
You have us curious.
So when did you realize that you were Neftis? How did this come, this awareness?
Oh, that was amazing. I've always had the connection to Egypt. I dreamed and dreamed and dreamed the Temple of Philae. I would dream every year a little bit closer in until I went into the Holy of Holies and it opened. There's different places in the temple where you could stand and then you would use your energy in the dream. It would just open and I would just go into the other world. And it was during one of these times that I realized that I was the twin. And, the memory of coming to this planet, the memory of coming as a grouping and being here, and the floods, very tactile in my soul. So, but I also have my life as Celestine. And so I understand the human life of Celestine. But as I become a little bit more fully integrated in preparation of leaving this planetary moment, then the necessity for Neftis is coming out more and more. So that's where I'm at.
I hope you don't mind me kind of putting you on the spot with that question.
No, it's
okay.
I do, but I understand what you're saying when you say you feel the mother. I mean, it's real. It's
very real.
You carry the mother energy. It's very beautiful.
Well, thank you. And that's a whole story. Yeah, that's a whole other story. I'll share that with you later. Not part of this interview. But so this is really fascinating. It's so interesting because I'm feeling like, if you don't mind me sharing this, and those who are listening, I'm feeling like there's a level of kind of anxious energy that's come in And I don't know if someone's gotten triggered by that, or, you know, I'm wondering if Neftis would like to do a blessing for everybody who's here right now. If you're open to that.
I would love to do that. Thank you so much. Shirnabe Nahoya Shirabe Ora Hanehu Nabe Ho Shinawara Kashin Shinasa Honamea Tanaye 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 Shuramanu. In all of creation, my joy comes to you. Blessed be, blessings, blessings of 10,000 suns be with you. From my heart to you, may you feel the blessings in your life, all that you desire in your heart. I clear the field with essence of pearl, essence, worlds of light and joy. It is simple. Goodness, love, protection. It is simple, but yet powerful. I seal this love. I seal this protection. I seal this joy. Kurama yeshena mae shakara. Kurama shetepe. In the four directions above and below. And you may breathe it into your heart should you desire. And know that you are loved beyond all thought. Ashkane, Ashkane, Ashkane.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goddess.
What was the language that you were speaking when you were doing that?
That is light language from my original Syrian self. The light language, the language of the heart, which each of us carry our light language with us. Some Kemetic, some threw a little bit of Nubian in there, and and some English.
And I know you're going to be doing that at the gathering in DC too. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. We're going to have a big party that day. So, wow, we just went off in a whole different direction here. I think that Mother Gaia wanted that direction to be taken because she's guiding me really closely here.
Yeah, forget about the questions. We just, I just put them down as a little bit of guidance here,
Yeah. So whoever that was who piped up, please feel free to type your question in there, because right now we've decided to go a little free form, and I don't really want to open it up to everyone talking on top of each other. But please feel free to type your question in the chat area. Hopefully you can see at the bottom. There's a chat icon. If you click on that, then you can type a question into all of us.
It may be Douglas. I don't know.
I don't think it was Douglas because he was already muted.
Mary Jo put the Kabbalion. Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, then
my question was just, how does the Virgin Mary fit into everything that you're sharing? If you would please share your experiences with the Virgin Mary, I'd really appreciate that.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
And I'm just curious, who are you? Who's speaking? Just so.
Okay, yes. So I'm Brother Tomasio, and I guess maybe read Revelation 11 and 12, so I just got back from the Love Light Festival. Met some very, very beautiful people, some top yoga instructors from across the country and really across the world. So I'm looking forward to joining you. Obviously, the goddess is rising, and I think it's very important that everyone realize exactly what's happening and how important it is. And I think, obviously children need to be protected in our society right now. And the mother has come to protect her children. And you're seeing the fall of the Catholic Church right now, which was predicted if you read in Revelation 18.
So, brother, if you don't
so
mind me interrupting you just briefly. Yeah, I do want to make sure that Celestine gets a chance to answer your question. Will you contact me one-on-one, because we're still recruiting more divine masculine, beautiful people such as you to be involved in the gathering. But will you contact me one-on-one?
Well, I absolutely love everything that you are doing, and I absolutely will. I have signed up as a volunteer, and looking forward to meeting and praying with everyone. Okay,
great. All right, well, let's pass it back to you were saying beautiful things there. I just felt like we needed to keep it focused on Isis and Virgin Mary question. But thank you. Please contact me.
We spoke about Neteru Septet, which is Isis of Sirius. And the heliacal rising of the star system Sirius before our sun, which moves the waters of the earth, is on August the 15th. And the Egyptians still celebrate those times. And even though they have the Aswan Dam in the upper regions, the northern regions of Egypt, the southern regions still experience the flooding. August the 15th is known in the Christian religions as the Assumption of Mary. So I want to just start there with the honoring of Mary as the Mother of Heaven. And so as you have the cultures, there are 42 tribes, Nubian tribes in Egypt, the original 42. But throughout these, honoring the mother, you have dynasty after dynasty, and each one honored Isis in a different way. Some of them, she was the teacher of magic. She could teach you how to do certain forms. But I want to stick to the mother, because this is what we're doing. We're bringing in the nurturing and the loving of the children and the earth. So imagine the statue of her suckling Horus, the infant child. Horus being the merging of the male and the female in balance, and giving birth and then nurturing. This statue can be seen in all of the cults. She became Artemis, nature, as you're going up through the Greek. She became Athena. If you go to the Middle East, Ashtar. So her, as the different nations, like the Greeks came in and took over Egypt for a short time, you have the merging of their religions with the Egyptian religion, and the Romans that came in from Italy, and these Roman legionnaires took on soldiers. And the actual first cross, the first Christian cross, can be found in an altar in Egypt.
Is that right?
You see it looks like a Maltese cross. And the Coptic religion, so as they close the temples, you have this, I want to say, the Hyksos kings were the kings that were from the Sumeria, who brought in the Semitic lineages, who brought in King David, King Solomon, Abraham. All of that came into Egypt through the Hyksos kings that had taken over only the northern part. And this is the time when Jesus was born, Mother Mary, all of these, they were related to each other, and they were royal blood. They were not the poor carpenter that was written about. So the histories are now catching up. They're using the actual histories of Rome, the histories of Flavius, who wrote the histories of the Jews quite extensively and wrote in there the truth of truths. So you have Isis being transmuted into the written stories of Mother Mary at the time when the king Isa, or Yeshua failed in his attempt to reclaim his position, even though they write that he was the kind and blessed Galilean, he was actually trying to free his people. And so that is when the crucifixion came. So they rewrote the history, and that's when Mother Mary was brought in. Flavius, Joseph of Arimathea, the son of Joseph of Arimathea, wrote created the Christian religion to appease the Romans and to settle the Judeans. Anybody outside of Judea was considered Palestinian. So it's very interesting that the Jewish people today who call themselves Jewish are actually, if you went back and looked at their tribes. So Mother Mary took on Isis. She became the mother of heaven, the mother of the world. She became that which we pray to, the compassionate one. Isis was known as a virgin birth because, she comes from the heavens. She was virgin born. She comes out of the purest form of the primordial. And so, again, they wrote in, and eventually when they determined that the Constantinople congregation of the Nicene priests and people who took all the texts and the manuscripts, and they determined what it was. So she became Mother Mary. I say my knowledge of my sister is that was her last incarnation, physical. She comes in rainbow forms. She comes in her light forms to people. She appears in the worst of the darkness of the dark because she is the mother trying to tell her children to have a glorious vision for their life so that we can manifest that. We need to take revelations out of the Bible, in a sense, and put in something of effeminate nature.
I'm sure you have a good sense. So she's not here right now, is she, in the physical?
No.
Okay.
That was her last incarnation.
Okay. Because you said the darkest of the darkest, and we live in
during the World War II, the Holocaust, during the Mayan, genocides of the Native Americans of America and stuff. She has appeared. She has appeared many. In France alone, there's 70 places in which she has appeared.
Apparition sites, you mean?
Yes.
7. I've been to Medjugorje where she appeared to the children, and she's still appearing, I think, to them now, and now they're adults. And
they even opened up the final letter. Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm not even aware of that. I haven't been tracking that well, but I was able to go in the early 90s. Yeah.
And they haven't really let it out, but if you research, you'll be able to find out what it says. I can't remember right now.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
So, that was a great question, Brother Tomasio, if I'm saying your name right. Honestly, you shared so much there. This is why I'm so glad we're recording this, because I personally, I don't know about everybody else, but I need to re-listen to what you just shared, because there was so much to what the revision of the history there.
Yeah.
I was raised as a little Catholic girl, and what you just shared was not at all what I was taught as a little kid.
No, she's Cybele, she's Artemis, she's Venus, she's Aphrodite, Fortuna, and you'll see the mother, the archetype of the mother suckling the child.
So what about Neftis then? Does Neftis appear in all these different beliefs and religions as another goddess?
Neftis appears throughout. She followed the path of the alchemist. So you'll find her in the healing arts and in the temples. She helped inspire many, connecting to Mary Magdalene. And the purpose is to awaken and to elevate the consciousness on the planet, to keep the consciousness evolving on the planet. So you will find her with Manjusri in Tibet, who is the keepers of the temple. She was called the keeper of the house. And some people mistaken the little piece that they put on my head as the house, like the home, but it's really the house, the inner planes. So things having to do with psychology, going into the subconscious, clearing the mind. You'll find Neftis. You'll find my spirit there.
But she didn't. This is so fascinating. I really didn't know we were going to go here in this interview, and I'm loving this.
Yeah, very curious. I chose not to manifest as many times as my sister, but I am there. I was the Jewess alchemist who helped to invent the torch that they put the alchemy in. Mm-hmm. You'll find me in Greece.
Did you have a name in Greece then? Are you known as one of the goddesses that some of us may know in Greece?
You will find me. My name is not written. I was the hidden one. But you will find me in the temples of the oracles as instructing and directing the head temples of the oracles, helping to bring the placements of those along the rosy line, par Isis for Isis, the temples for Isis. The oracle temples were my main offering to the planet so that you could come and receive the information that you needed for your life, the kings and the queens, or even the lay person, whoever it may be, the Sibels, so the Colchis was an oracle temple that we initiated. Jason and the Argonauts with the saffron, golden fleece was an oracle temple. Mm-hmm. Delphi was an oracle temple, but yet it was placed, what do we want to say? There was an earthquake, so they moved it to Delphi, but the actual oracle temple, if you go up, straight up the ley line, north, south, east, west, so that was the working. A lot of the big temples, Karnak, Thebes, Inspiration. We were the Holy of Holies. You would come to the Holy of Holies to find me there.
Oh my God. And here we found you here, living in Marin County in California.
Yes, I'm sitting in my Holy of Holies.
Being interviewed no less before you come to DC, to the holiest of holiest of cities that need more holy energy. We know that to be true.
You've been the most inquisitive, so thank you for allowing me to share my truth.
Oh, I'm. What is that expression? Curious minds want to know.
Yes.
And I'm working very closely with Mother Gaia the past 24 hours. It's kind of gotten deeper. Something happened last night that was pretty powerful. That's neither here nor there. But I think she really wants this out. Who you are and what you're about, and the significance for the 1,000 Goddesses gathering, and that you really felt the call to contact me directly and say, hi, I want to be there as your Isis priestess.
I want to be, right. And I want to thank Miss Christy, who we can't see a picture of her, but we love you every day. And Christy was really the instigator in this one. She said, you need to be there. You need to be there. And I'm like, I don't know. So I decided to call you. And the moment our voices connected and our hearts connected, I knew.
I was so tired that night. I'm like, yes, I'm saying yes. I don't need to find this priestess anymore. She just showed up. This is perfect. So thank you, Christy. So, you did have some other notes you sent me in advance of us doing this interview. The goddess of 10,000 names.
Yes.
And I know you've already been talking a little bit about these Isis temples, but essentially what you're saying is that Isis has had 10,000 names in different locations.
She is the goddess of 10,000 names. Yes. I could read to you. I mean, it's, Isis of the house of Hor, Isis of Hathor, Isis of the Black Lands, Isis of the rivers, Isis the cats. It just, when they do a adoration to Isis, they read maybe 8 pages of her emanations and what powers that she brings through. So if you could imagine the primordial ocean and as it's becoming into manifestation, the Great Mother, which you are connected to, brings forth these different formations. Well, your Great Mother would then be the Great Mother of the rivers, the Great Mother of all trees, the Great Mother. To the Egyptian, it would be each individual aspect would be honored as an aspect of the Great Mother. And so that would be Isis, Aset.
Yes. Powerful. Does anyone else have a question they want to type in? And if you can't figure out how to type it in, if you just go to the very bottom of your Zoom screen and scroll your mouse there's a chat button there. You might as well open this up. I mean, I can certainly ask a few more questions, but I thought I'd open it up because Brother Tamasio's question was so good. Maybe not seen anybody type anything.
While they're typing or not typing, what's really important is that the aspect of the Great Mother lives, and what you're doing in calling the Great Mother to the center of this beautiful mall and just invoking her presence, whether it's Isis, Oshun, Mary Magdalene. There's so many different aspects of her, but she is, I want to just share an experience that I had in France. I had been going with my beloved friend, Deborah Giusti, in France to the, led by Luce Humboldt. She was our guide. And we were at Lourdes, and I kept seeing kind of the clouds, you know. The clouds would be extraordinary. I'd say, well, this is not a normal cloud. My spirit is connected to the galactic intelligence, so I'm always, you know, aware of their presence. We get to Lourdes, and the first, you know, we go into the basilicas, and you know, we're giving our offerings and our love, and I hear the word Immaculate Conception is in your heart. The highest, the most purest thought of creation is the Immaculate Conception. And if you can have the Immaculate Conception of the feminine, that would be what appeared. So we go into the basilica, and I'm going, oh, okay, it's not the Pope saying, oh, I said that the Virgin was born of a birth. This is the Immaculate Conception. That's the only reason why it got into the Christian archives, is because the Pope said she was immaculately conceived.
Or that he was, that Christ was. But also he said the Virgin Mary was too?
Mother Mary was divinely born. Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that story is very powerful. Yes.
Yes. So the Christians could say this was Mother Mary, but they couldn't say she's a galactic intelligence. They couldn't say that she's a heavenly angel, right? Because
that would kind of make it a different story than what the Bible teaches. Yeah.
Right. So in preparation, so we go outside and we're looking at the clouds, and the clouds started shifting, and the next thing I knew, I was looking with Deborah at the formation of the clouds morphing and opening up until we saw the throne of God. I saw completely all the way up, and the light came upon us, and we were on the ground. But the most important thing I want to share is that there are feminine energies, intelligences. They call themselves the sisterhood, the sisters of the dove. In Mary Magdalene, her symbol is the dove, you know. And so often you see Isis as the kite. She's the kite.
Interesting.
Yeah? You have the Horus, the falcon. Yeah. But the sisters of the dove are working on behalf of humanity to bring the healing, to finally move the consciousness to a place of the unified field where all is one. So I
You
just
and
want
I
to.
are going to have a very long conversation that we don't have time for in this interview.
I
Oh
just want to lay
my.
that at your feet and let you know that for me, they just really are saying this rise of the feminine is being brought through from the Most High
Yeah.
into this planet. So we are being touched by heavenly angelic host, and we actually took a picture
Oh my gosh, really? You have a
happening.
photo. Well,
And
I need to add this to what you're sharing then, because the spiritual council that is coordinating this gathering that is not in the physical realms
yes,
comes from, like, I would say, in my definition of the Most High, like way
yes,
up there.
yes, the throne of thrones. Yes,
Yeah, and Mother Gaia is on that council, but she's one of a number of members of that council, and that's all I can really share here in this moment, in this interview
beautiful.
process with
Yes.
you. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
yes, I'm just gonna say a big yes to that.
Yes, yes,
Um,
and most on high. I mean, it was so high that we were on our knees. I mean, I just couldn't. There was nothing. What are we going to say?
yeah, I imagine the energy was incredibly powerful, and
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of bring this back in a way, a bit of a circle here, is DC was designed, and there's a lot of architecture and statues and symbolism of the divine feminine
Mm-hmm.
in DC. And I'm not an expert on that. Some of the people I've connected with really know a lot about it. And so,
Mm-hmm.
in addition to the significance of really bringing the divine feminine energies right into the heart of DC again, because this is the second time we're doing the gathering.
Mm-hmm.
I just got an interesting hit.
Mm-hmm.
It's to also activate the city again, to really carry the divine feminine energies. And for those who are listening and don't know this, there's also a global grid aspect to this day, where there are groups coming in the sacred circle around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the numbers are growing. People are contacting me every day and registering to be. So there's a map on our website of the global grid. So it's really, I got the spiritual message in July that part of what's going on this day, October 20th, is to activate the divine feminine planetary energetic grid.
And we're going to amplify that by bringing the crystals.
Yes.
The crystals
The
that
crystals.
will enable those who come to the circle when we're making the offering to have a seed crystal to go and plant it in the world somewhere.
And
so,
you got how many of these from your contact? 200?
well, we're bringing about 200, but we're also asking people we're bringing over 200 crystals, but asking people to bring your crystal, bring one that you want to plant, because we're going to view it with your intention. And then you will be the seed consciousness, and we will build a crystal grid, not only of our word and our breath and our intention, but planting it in the earth to go along the electromagnetic field, of which we are all electromagnetic. So our group mind will then be activated as well.
And group hearts.
Yay!
Ooh, somebody's partying on the spirit realms with what you just shared. There's like this big, I'm hearing from the spirit realms.
No, we just
I wouldn't
honor
call them.
your counsel. I think we got the same counsel dialed up.
Yeah, it certainly feels like that in a big way. This has really been amazing. And we only have like 6 more minutes left in this interview. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. If somebody, well, here's a really appropriate question. And Christy, I know you're listening and we needed to do this for you, but the information is on the website. Do you do webinars? Do you teach courses online so people can learn from you? You have so much knowledge and wisdom and spiritual presence.
I do teach courses. I do webinars. Christy and I did a series of 4 or 5 on Mary Magdalene. So it depends, I move with what is needed. And for many years, I did medicine wheel, so people would come monthly to the medicine wheel. Then I could do teachings there. Then it moves. But now it's more. I have private students who work with me. One of my students, Chelsea Wiley, will be there. She'll be in the ceremony with us. She's coming down. But yes, I do webinars and teachings, but I'm pretty local with the ceremonies. Christy's, one of the major Mary Magdalene, but she's been appearing to me and bringing me forth. She's been pushing me out there, to do a little bit more. But you'll find Neftis. I tend to want to be the hidden one, but they're saying more and more, it's time for you to get out there.
Yeah, I can relate. I like hiding too, but I'm not supposed to.
Not so much hiding, but people come to me in my privacy of a temple.
So we have a question here, if you don't mind. Fiorella has asked, can Celestine talk a little bit about Mary Magdalene?
Sure. Mary Magdalene is probably one of the most powerful earth sisters. She is of royal blood. She was of royal blood, and she carried the lineages of the Hyksos kings of Sumer, the Kemetic, and the Egyptian, because they were in Egypt when they ruled. She also has Persian lineages that come into her. So she was taken into the temples at a very early age. Her cousin Flavius writes about this in the history of the Jews, that her dowry, when she came out of the temples and they did a lottery for her to be married, would be something in the billions of dollars.
Wow.
So she was a businesswoman. She was a priestess. She had already eternalized, the oneness and the unified consciousness when she came out. But I believe that she was also, not only when she appears to me, she talks to me, the memories of being a Mare priestess. The Mare is Middle Eastern. It was the worship of the goddess, of the mother goddess, of the woman, of ourselves as women. The consciousness, because the women, our Siddha, our highest potential is to give birth without a man. That is our Siddha, that is our gift to creation, to be able to create and to manifest. Every month we drop the elixir of the white Amrita into our wombs so we can create a child. It doesn't just come from the egg. It comes, there's, the consciousness, the high super consciousness, the ability to create human. And this is the secrets of the fleur de lis. So you have the Mare priestesses of the Mother Goddess Mysteries. And she also was given the Egyptian, which is, I think, where she comes in with her anointments, the spikenard, the understanding, because here in the Temple of Zeist is where the medical and the learning of tinctures and medicines and things like that. So she comes out and she gets married, and yes, she married Yeshua. She is just beautifully, she's so anchored in reality because she created the business, as Christy talked about, and even Elizabeth, the one who brought us into the Mary Magdalene after Mary Magdalene appeared to her, Elizabeth Kelly. I want to honor her.
So to Fiorella, I don't know if you caught Christy's interview last week. If you didn't get the link to listen to that, Christy goes into for the full hour. We focused on Mary Magdalene then with Christy, and Christy will be invoking her, honoring her at the Thousand Goddesses Gathering. We have like a minute left here in this interview. So I just really want to thank you so much for showing up, for calling me that night, a month ago, whenever it was. This has been really fascinating. I am definitely, I don't know about everyone listening and everyone's who registered, but I'm going to be re-listening to this to really absorb what you've shared. And thank you so much for being a part of this and being a part of the Thousand Goddesses Gathering. And one of my affirmations since the winter was Divine Plan Aligned Thousand Goddesses Gathering, because it's a huge undertaking and I freak out about, well, I'm trying to freak out less about all the details and all the logistics, but clearly Christy being a part of it and you being a part of it. And then next week we're going to have Latavia Doyen-Jones. She's going to be speaking about Oshun. And the fourth priestess I'm not interviewing. She's really busy. It was hard to like pin her down to have an interview. Her name is Kate Rogers, and she's going to be invoking Mary, the Virgin Mother, at the Thousand Goddesses Gathering. So thank you again, Celestine. And Celestine, honestly, if you're willing to stay on for a few minutes afterwards, and Christy, I don't know if you want to stay on. I want to ask you guys something. But we're ending the. Well, actually, you know what? I have to stop the whole recording. Never mind that. We can reconnect, or I'll send you another link, okay? Because I just want to put something out there to you guys, and the idea is
just to finish for Mary Magdalene. She still lives, and she is manifesting herself to people who are open in heart. She is bringing the business through. She's telling the women to unite, to come forward. And I just want to honor her in that. And if you get a chance, go to France and walk the history of her life, and you will know her to be an amazing human being and a very high being. She ascended. She totally did the whole way.
Thank you. And thank you for all your teachings about Isis and Neftis, if I'm saying that right. So thank you, everyone. This wraps up our interview tonight, and we're going to be on next week for our third and last interview for the Thousand Goddesses Gathering series. So good night to everyone, and blessings.
Beautiful to see you.
Oh, yes, there's beautiful.